This is Insurgency Sandstorm. We're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at this realistic and tactical shooter. So what we're getting here is a 4K resolution at 60 FPS with auto HDR support. And yeah, that is actually a little bit weird because I don't know if I've seen a new game launch with auto HDR support. That's usually something that's applied to older titles. So I find that to actually be quite fascinating. And yes, my TV does note that the auto HDR is actually working, which is, great as well. Because I just noticed it said HDR on the TV. I was like, huh, I went to compatibility and yeah, noted auto HDR. I was like, that's kind of cool. So anyways, this is a multiplayer focused experience. There is like local play, but that's just like basically working with AI to fight AI in more like the cooperative setting, because there is a co-op multiplayer too. We're going to be talking about all the different modes. So this also has cross-gen multiplayer support. That means last-gen Xbox players can play with, next-gen console players. But there's no crossplay, and they did say that they are looking to add crossplay in the near future. And there might even be mod support on the consoles down the line too. So, kind of keep that in mind. It's something we'll be monitoring and whatnot to see if that happens. But yeah, this is actually a very interesting and a fairly well done sort of tactical shooter. I quite like this. I find it to be very interesting, and I'm thoroughly enjoying what it has to offer. Keep in mind that this won't be for everyone. This is a very tactical shooter. You die in like 1 or 2 bullets. It's not Call of Duty. You're not supposed to be running around. I mean, for streaming and gameplay sakes, just for review, I am trying to be a little bit more, fast moving so that it looks a little bit more action packed. But no, this is very much a game that you're taking your time with. You're moving around. You're trying to be smart because you die, and you got to spawn on waves and stuff. It's a very complicated and intricate type of shooter, and I love it for that. Oh, geez, that was a teammate? that scared me because there's friendly fire. Usually they have icons above their heads. I didn't see that on that player, so that kind of threw me off. Anyways, there's 2 modes. First off, there is the co-op against the AI, so you work as a squad fighting against the AI across a series of objectives, or holding off enemies as waves in a spot, things like that. And that's what I had mentioned was mirrored within the local play option. So if you're expecting like, deathmatch and stuff locally, that's just not really something that's present. And then there's the multiplayer. The multiplayer has a few different, all objective-based modes. We're playing Push right now. This is my favorite kind of game type in the game. You're basically taking objectives similar to Rush in, say, Battlefield, if you're familiar with that. Then there's one where it's kind of like the old Call of Duty War mode. It's like a tug-of-war, kind of going back and forth, capturing points. Then there's Domination, and there's another one that plays similar to Domination, which is more like live-based, where, live as in your lives, because when you die, you have to capture a new point for everyone to respawn, and it's a very intricate and interesting system in that regard. So I think the game modes are really good. I quite like the variety of them. But for me, Push is the thing that wins out. And these are decently long matches. I find them to be about half an hour or more long each. Each round is about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how good and effective your team are, as you capture the different points. And I just really like that style that's being presented here. So yeah, it's actually quite intricate just in regards to like bullets zinging off of things, and the sounds and that are really, really intense. And again, kind of lean into that realism angle, and I like that quite a bit. And you gotta be smart, you gotta move around, you can like do different leaning, there's like a door system as well. So you can like push down doors, you can open doors quietly, and I think that's really quite neat because it is a very tactical experience. The maps are fairly large, so you will come across people, but sometimes there might be spots where it's a little bit more quiet. It is 10v10, and it does seem like the lobby rosters are decently full around the launch, which is good. Seems to have a decently healthy community at this time. And it's just really quite intense. Like, you get shot up and die really fast, and you gotta be smart about it. And then there's an interesting system for basically the loadouts and whatnot, but I want to talk about other settings visually. So you might want to turn off the tooltips. There's a tutorial, it's pretty simple. But when you go to video, you can change the field of view if you'd like to, so that's pretty good if you like that. Motion blur and dismemberment are options that seem to turn off by themselves weirdly while you're playing, so I don't know if that's a bug. But that was something I wanted to mention. But the game is very complex. There's different classes you can play as that do different roles, they get different weapons. And then your loadout You get a range of different guns, but there's also like points on how you evaluate and add to your gun. So you can add different things like laser sights. If you're playing on a night map, you're going to need like a flashlight. You can have like a secondary. You can have different explosives, different types of armor. And you can completely customize your characters too. There's two different factions, the insurgents, and then I guess like the good guys or whatnot. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. But you get to completely customize them. You can like unlock different shirts, you can unlock different gear, you earn points while playing, and it seems like it's all earned. I don't see any like battle passes or anything, and none of this stuff is silly. It's all realistic gear. I think the silliest thing that they have in this game is like a striped shirt option. That is how intense and actually focused on being a tactical game that this is. Now this game is like a couple years old PC-wise, so we're getting it on consoles here. And that's why you're probably noticing quite a bridge of visuals. Some of the texturing, really, really great. Some of the texturing, not so great. I think it kind of leans a little bit on being a bit of an indie effort, and I have a long history with this franchise. It was actually like the PC game, the first Insurgency was one of the first, if not maybe the first game I ever reviewed back in the day for my like site and whatnot. And I covered Day of Infamy when that came out. That was like a World War II like take on the series, and to have Sandstorm here on consoles is really neat to be showing it off. I appreciate the clouds moving, but you can see like really low texture. Some of the mountains are low in the background. Some of the foreground items are really low, but then some of them are really high textured. It's weird. And there's like little bits of pop-in. Not really noticeable for most people, I don't think. But every now and then you see certain things like kind of, load or pop in a little bit as you're moving around. But I think overall the game looks fine. It looks solid. It looks good. It's filled with different things in the environment. It feels lively. There's lots of different cover for you to use. The buildings, there's a lot of different buildings you can go into, and you can go into all of the different rooms, and there's stuff in all of the different rooms. So I think they actually capture the environmental aspects really well. And then, like I said, it feels tense. It feels like Dunkirk, like the movie, as a game. Just in regards to some of the tension as you like enter rooms or make your move to different spots, because you can die so easily. Oh, jeez. And you can feel like the whizzing of bullets kind of missing by you. You can be sitting there calmly, and you hear ting ting, and you can like see them whizzing, like hitting off of things, and that's really intense to me. Really visceral, and I think it's cool how they do that. And you can use like shadows to see enemies, and it's just like a very uniquely set game. I don't think there's too many options like that. Oh, I should have saw that he was coming that way. You gotta be careful, really, really careful, and check your corners. Because you get to points where you're dying like I am. Or you get points like at the beginning where you're just killing everybody. And you gotta be smart, because you've only got so many waves. Only got so many lives. And you gotta be tactical about it. You gotta be smart about the setup. But I think it looks good. I think it plays quite well. I didn't really notice any sorts of like performance issues or anything like that. It seems like it's all smooth. And nothing that really stands out from like a negative perspective. Like it seems to run really fine. It's got a great variety of maps and content. And as a multiplayer focused game, I think it adds, or well provides, a good amount of things for you to do and ways for you to play. And I think you'll kind of really need to adjust some of the like gameplay mechanics. I haven't changed anything handling wise and stuff, but a lot of people I was talking to mentioned adjusting and fine-tuning their weapons and whatnot and the settings, just so that it's perfect for them and their play styles. But yeah, like I said, this is something you can get a lot of gameplay out of. It's really cool. And you can do like a base, like cover-based things, and you can like kind of do contextual leaning on stuff. Oh, this is dangerous. But yeah, it feels visceral. It feels intense. It's got surprising moments to it, and it just like I can remember like just freaking out because I was streaming this to kind of work through it. I just like you freak out when you're getting like bullets shot at you when you're entering a room. It's like the tension is just ridiculous. It's kind of crazy what you have to deal with just in terms of trying to get the objective done, because sometimes you got to capture spots, sometimes you got to blow things up. It changes, right? And it's just a neat positional experience. And something I had a lot of fun with. I really did enjoy this game. I think it's quite well done, well put together. And, it is kind of, like, interesting, because this was supposed to launch about a year ago during the summer, from the moment of where I'm actually playing it. And it seems like the wait was maybe worth it, but at the same time, it's a very crowded time of year, so I hope that doesn't impact things too well. And we're going to hop into another match, because we are out of lives, and I want to keep showing things off. So I joined another match, and as you can tell, I'm on the same team as I was last time. There's two different sides. They use like the M16 on that squad. But yeah, there's just a lot of really neat little technical things on this game that I quite enjoy. Gas masks. There's like some little, like, well, I want to say drone type things, like commander type things you can do if you pick that class. And it's just kind of responsive as you go through the environment, battling and taking on others. You even got a knife if you want it, which was good for like stabbing somebody in the back if you come up and sneak on them. But I don't know. I just think it's really neat, and a variety of different worlds and areas that you get to fight in, which is really cool. I mean, it doesn't seem very Sandstorm-like up here in the snow mountains, if you know what I'm talking about, but yeah, it's just, to me, it's quite intriguing having this really intense sort of experience as opposed to something where you're running around like Call of Duty, you know, or Battlefield. This is very much a calmer approach game. One where you need to use strategy, one where you need to be careful, and you need to monitor what you're doing. And you can just customize a lot of it. Like, there's a lot of personality to this game, and a lot of customization on top of that. And you can really fine-tune things to how you want them to be. And I just like highlighting, you know, this, because I do think it is different. And like I said, like, you can kill a guy, one bullet. You see that? He just, like, fell down. You get these points where you might have, like, a really good vantage point over your enemy and stuff, and that can change on the fly too, depending on where you're fighting, the different areas you're headed. And I think that's really neat. And you know, I'm seeing just kind of like showcasing basically an assault rifle here, but you can use like snipers, like SMGs. You gotta find what works for you and works for your different maps, because some of the maps are more tighter. It usually is very linear in its feeling and style, but it's got these like open areas. Like here is rather open. Like there's two main lanes. There's this death road to the right from our perspective, and then the left there's a little bit more of like a, you know, a hill that you can kind of crouch up about. And then the map becomes more like city focused, and these are large environments, but they're well crafted with love and design and determination with them. It's overall like it's a very solid game. It hits the mark. It may not be perfect for everyone, but I think this is almost refreshing to me to have something different like this. Have something unique that I can enjoy. Ow. And then I can find to be a fresh shooter experience. Not every shooter game needs to be super fast-paced and intense. And I love the sort of, I don't know, some might say clunky, but I love the feeling of the game. Like, it feels really good and a little bit more lifelike than other ones do. And that's not just from, like, the fact that you can die really quickly, but also the fact that, like, you know, how you kind of move in the game, how you get around. It's really distinct. And I think they've hit something really well here, and I hope it is supported. But we've got a lot of content here, like I mentioned. You know, you've got the main multiplayer, with lots of different competitive options, lots of different maps. Then you have the co-op against the AI, if you know, are into that kind of thing. That mode can be tense too, because the AI can be a little bit easier, depending on if you do, like, hardcore and whatnot. But it's still, like, it's really intense. And doing, like, the night stuff, where you get, like, MVGs and flashlights, and that's crazy. It really, really is, because it's, like, your flashlight's giving you away, but you need to be able to see, and you can just see, like, the lights of other people. That's gnarly. But they use the maps well, and they work on the different game modes well. And when you finish your different matches, like, you flip sides, right? You do one side one way, and then you flip to the other side. But then there's other options, too, right? Where it's basically, like, these modes where you're spawning in and that. I think that impacts stuff. And then at the end of matches, you can choose. You know, as a lobby, you vote for what map you want to go next. So it's kind of like rotating lobbies. It's just very well done. And it's cool that you can actually just, like, unlock things while playing. You don't have to, like, buy into some ridiculous pass or something like that. I mean, that is a pretty standard thing for shooters and whatnot, but you know what I mean? It feels almost old school and yet very different. And I always thought this would be a really cool franchise to see on the consoles, and I think I was right. I like that they put this together. It's almost calming, but yet at the same time terrifying to play, because it's like, oh, I could get shot at any moment. And sometimes it works out for you, where you're able to get the jump on people and it goes well. And you can kill people really quick. Like, you can get a triple kill, you know, the drop of the hat, if they're together. But other times, it's just like, you know, you can drop down really fast, and you can die quickly. And I think it's just, like, crazy, and it seems to be well-balanced. And it seems to have moments where it's like, you know, it's really in favor of the defending team, sometimes really in favor of the attacking team. And I love that variety within it. It feels so crazy to play. Like, there's not really another experience quite like this on the console that I can think of. Like, you could put up Resident Evil. That's funny. You could put up Rainbow Six, you know, Siege. You could be like, well, that's a, you know, that's a really tactical shooter. But this is more like they took that kind of tactical shooting, made it a little bit more intense to a degree, and they threw it a serious angle at it, and they focused on making it a little bit more towards COD or Battlefield, where you've got like objectives and stuff, and you're actually like, you know, working in more open maps, and not necessarily just, you know, doing the attack and defend thing. I think they've added more personality to the game. I think that works out for the best for this title. Oh crap, I'm in a restricted thing, so I can't use stuff. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, you're not supposed to enter the restrictive areas, or they like make it harder for you to, well, make it so you can't shoot and whatnot. And it's to defend against spawn camping, right? Because that could be a thing in this one, depending on how good your team is. But I don't know, I really like this. I think it's unique. I think it's well done. And it's kind of crazy too, because I was making this point, yeah, while I was streaming as well. Because I did a big long stream of the game if you need to see more gameplay of it. But it's like, I throw a grenade at an enemy, and I don't know if I've killed them. That's crazy, right? Because it doesn't tell you. Even when you shoot people, it's like, you gotta make sure they're actually, like, you gotta make sure they're dead. You gotta check the rooms, you gotta be, you know, strategic, you gotta be careful. Because, you know, it's not like, hey, this guy killed this guy. And, that's just one angle of it, is that tactical play where it's like, okay, you know, did we actually kill this person? Oh, am I getting shot from behind? Oh. And then the friendly fire angle, so you gotta be really careful with grenades. It's really tense because it makes you think about what you're doing and be strategic about it. How am I doing? I'm like, oh, it's covered right now. But, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool seeing later on some of the stats and whatnot. It's like, did I get that guy? Should I go check? If you check, it could put you out into the open. I don't know, I find that to be really intriguing. I thought that was a door there, that's funny. But overall, you know, expansive maps, good amount of content, fun gameplay, a unique experience, something that I think kind of sets it apart from other shooters. So if you were wanting, you know, some variety, you're wanting something different, I think Insurgency Sandstorm delivers on that. And I think it's worth the wait for this to be on the console version. And I hope this finds a niche on the platform, because I really do think this is really cool. I think it's really intense. Oh, come on. I need to get a better scope for this gun. I like it, but I don't love it. And that's the craziness of this, right? It's just like, you see some guys, and almost you're not set up to deal with them. There we go, that's a good double kill. And it can move really fast where you're killing folks, and then you're at the end of the other line getting killed by folks. And it's just one bullet, you're just done. It's not like, again, like Call of Duty, where it's like you get shot and you can react or something. Depending on the COD, of course, but you know what I mean? Like, you're really, really dead if you're not being smart about it, if you're not handling the situation well. It'll be like the end of you. And I think that's really, really quite cool. It's very distinct. And I think a worthwhile thing to check out, right? I think you can have fun with it. I think it will surprise you, and you'll find it to be delightfully calming, but yet really tense and perhaps at times scary type of thing, because, you know, you hear those little bullets going zing, 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 and you're just like, oh, wow. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And it's not like, you know, COD where you're like, oh, I've died, whatever. It's like, you know, deaths can actually feel impactful in this game. And I think that's important, because you do get the respawns, but you gotta watch your waves, you gotta watch your strategy. Otherwise, it's just not gonna turn out well for your team and whatnot. Because it is an objective game. It's about working together. Voice and communication is important. There's like proximity chat and whatnot. And I think that just makes for a very unique and exciting experience that sets it apart from other stuff. Perfect? No, probably not. Unique? Totally. Fun? Yep. Kind of a little bit crazy, of course. Will it surprise you and provide some terrors? Or terrors? Probably, yeah, too, because, yeah, this one kind of surprises me along the way. Oh, jeez. Isn't that my teammate that just shot me in front of me? Is that a bad guy? I was seeing, the diamond above his head. See, the friendly fire thing, it throws me off too, because I'm like, are they a pal? Are they not a pal? what's going on? And it's like everyone uses different weapons, and there's so many dynamics to it, but that's Insurgency Sandstorm. It's pretty neat and pretty fun.